In silent bounds, bordering the mortal's plain, crossing a wide expanse of brilliant peace, Nahat, the heavenly sage from paradise, came chanting through the large and lustrous air.
Good morning. So today we begin Book 6, the Book of Fate. starting with Canto 1, The Word of Fate. So today we'll read through the canto, and after this week I'm going to go out for about 5 weeks. I won't be here. So instead, I believe they're going to arrange a video of Shraddhavan going over this section. So maybe we won't get into the discussion of this and just wait for that. But to begin, I thought I would read a short introduction from Shraddhavan's book to this canto. And then maybe at the end, I'll read another short introduction from her book that discusses in general this canto and the next canto. So these are from the English of Savitri, volume 12, in which this book is covered. So, as an introduction to this canto, she writes, Book 6 of Sri Aurobindo's epic poem Savitri is entitled The Book of Fate. It has 2 cantos, The Word of Fate and The Way of Fate and the Problem of Pain. The second canto, The Way of Fate and the Problem of Pain, was the last part of Savitri that Sri Aurobindo was working on before he left his body in 1950. As we can see right in the middle of the poem, there is this late addition, which is only loosely connected with the original legend. But it is a very, very important section of the poem because it answers many of the questions we have, our anguished human hearts have, about suffering. That is in the second canto. First, we follow the story. In the previous book, Book 5, the Book of Love, we read about how Savitri meets her destined life partner, Satyavan, after her long quest, and how their souls recognize each other. As in a traditional Indian marriage ceremony, Savitri makes a garland of freshly gathered flowers and puts it around Satyavan's neck. Then they walk together to the clearing inside the forest, where Satyavan's hut stands among a group of other similar huts. Seeing her future home, Savitri is very pleased to start her new life there with Satyavan. We read at the end of the Book of Love, Savitri saying, "Now I must go back to my father's palace, but very soon I will be back here again, and we will not ever part again as long as we live." We have seen that Sri Aurobindo usually makes a link between cantos and between books. But here, that link is not very obvious. The link is in the story. Everybody who is familiar with this story knows that when Satyavan returns to her father's palace, she meets there sage Narad, who is a figure of many Indian traditional stories. His characteristic is that although he is like a human being and a devotee of Lord Vishnu, he can travel freely between our world and the higher worlds. On this occasion, he is coming down from heavens, Vishnu's heavens. He is coming down to the earth to visit King Aswapati. Sage Narad is a musician. He sings. In the first section of Book 6, Sri Aurobindo describes the journey that Narad makes coming into the material world through the subtle planes and the song that he sings on the way. So that is how the beginning of this canto starts. So let's read through the canto without stopping for commentary. And Jean, would you like to begin?
Canto 1, The Word of Fate. In silent bounds bordering the mortal's plain, crossing a wide expanse of brilliant peace, Narad, the heavenly sage from paradise, came chanting through the large and lustrous air. Attracted by the golden summer earth that lay beneath him like a glowing bowl, tilted upon the table of the gods, turning as if moved round by an unseen hand to catch the warmth and blaze of a small sun, he passed from the immortal's happy paths to a world of toil and quest and grief and hope, to these rooms of the seesaw game of death with life. Across an intangible border of soul space, he passed from mind into material things, amid the inventions of the inconscient self and the workings of a blind, somnambulous force.
Thank you.
Thank you. Below him circling burned the myriad suns. He bore the ripples of the etheric sea. A primal air brought the first joy of touch. A secret spirit drew its mighty breath, contracting and expanding this huge world. In its formidable circuit through the void, the secret might of the creative fire displayed its triple power to build and form. Its infinitesimal wave sparks, weaving dance, its nebulous units grounding shape and mass, magic foundation and pattern of a world, its radiance bursting into the light of stars. He felt a sap of life, a sap of death, into solid matter's dense communion, plunging and its obscure oneness of forms. He shared with a dumb spirit identity.
Thank you.
He beheld the cosmic beings as his task. His eyes measured the spaces, gauged at the depth. His inner gaze the movement of the soul. He saw the eternal labor of the gods, and looked upon the life of beast and man. A change now fell upon the singer's mood. A rupture and a pathos moved his voice. He sang no more of lights that never wanes, and oneness and pure everlasting bliss. He sang no more the deathless heart of love. His chant was a hymn of ignorance and fate. He sang the name of Vishnu and the birth, and joy and passion of the mystic world, and how the stars were made and life began, and the mute regions stirred with the throb of a soul.
Thank you.
He sang the inconscient and its secret self, its power omnipotent, knowing not what it does, all shaping without will or thought or sense, its blind, unerring occult mystery and darkness yearning towards the eternal light, and love that broods within the dim abyss and waits the answer of the human heart, and death that climbs to immortality. He sang of the truth that cries from night's blind deeps, and the mother wisdom hid in nature's breast, and the idea that through her dumbness works, and the miracle of her transforming hands, of life that slumbers in the stone and sun, and mind subliminal in mindless life, and the consciousness that wakes in beasts and men. He sang of the glory and marvel still to be born, of Godhead throwing off at last its veil, of bodies made divine and life made bliss, immortal sweetness clasping immortal might, heart sensing heart, thought looking straight at thought, and delight when every barrier falls, and the transfiguration and the ecstasy.
Thank you. Margaret?
And as he sang, the demons wept with joy, foreseeing the end of their long, dreadful task, and the defeat for which they hoped in vain, and glad release from their self-chosen doom, and return into the one from whom they came. He who has conquered the immortal seeds came down to men, on earth the man divine, as starts a lightning streak, a glory fell, nearing until the rapt eyes of the sage looked out from luminous cloud and strangely limned, his face a beautiful mask of antique joy, appearing in light descended where arose King Aswapati's palace to the winds in Mata, flooring up in delicate stone. There welcomed him the sage and thoughtful king. At his side a creature beautiful, passionate, wise, aspiring like a sacrificial flame, skyward from its earth seat through luminous air, Queen Bride, the human mother of Savitri.
Thank you. Pardon me.
There for an hour, untouched by the earth's siege, they ceased from common life and care and sat, inclining to the high and rhythmic voice, while in his measured chant the heavenly seer spoke of the toils of men and what the gods strive for on earth, and joy that throbs behind, the marvel and the mystery of pain. He sang to them of the lotus heart of love, with all its thousand luminous buds of truth, which quivering sleeps veiled by apparent things. It trembles at each touch, it strives to wake, and one day it shall hear a blissful voice, and in the garden of the spouse shall bloom. When she is seized by her discovered Lord, a mighty shuddering coil of ecstasy crept through the deep heart of the universe. Out of her matter's stupor, her mind's dreams, she woke, she looked upon God's unveiled face.
Thank you. Next.
Even as he sang, and rapture stole through earth time, and caught the heavens, came with a call of hooves, as of her swift heart hastening, Savitri. Her radiant thread glimmered across the floor, a happy wonder in her fathomless gaze. Changed by the halo of her love she came, her eyes rich with a shining mist of joy, as one who comes from a heavenly embassy, discharging the proud mission of a heart, one carrying the sanction of the gods to her love and its luminous eternity. She stood before her mighty Father's throne, and eager for beauty on discovered earth, transformed and new in her heart's miracle light, saw like a rose of marble, worshipping the fire tinged sweetness of the Son of Heaven.
Thank you.
He flung on her his vast immortal look. His inner gaze surrounded her with its light, and raining back knowledge from his immortal lips. He cried to her, "Who is this that comes, the bride?" The flame born and round her illumined head, pouring their lights, her hymeneal palms, move flashing about her from what green glimmers of glades, retreating into dewy silences, or half-seen verge of waters moon betrayed. Bringst thou this glory of enchanted eyes? Earth has gold-hued expanses, shadowy hills, that cowl their dreaming phantom heads in night, and guarded in a cloistral joy of woods. Screened banks sink down into felicity, seized by the curved, incessant, yearning hands and ripple passion of the upgazing stream. Amid cool-lipped murmurs of its pure embrace, they lose their souls on beds of trembling reeds.
Thank you.
And all these are mysterious presences, in which some spirit's immortal bliss is felt, and they betray the earth-born heart to joy. Their haste thou pause, and marveling born eyes, unknown to heard a voice that forced thy life to strain in rapture through thy listening soul. Or if my thought could trust the shimmering gaze, it would say thou hast not drunk from an earthly cup, but stepping through azure curtains of the noon, thou wast surrounded on a magic verge in brighter countries than man's eyes can bear, assailed by trooping voices of delight, and seized mid a sunlight glamour of the gods. In fairy woods, led down the gleaming slopes, Gadamda, where the Apsaras roam, thy limbs have shared the sports which none has seen, and in God hunts thy human footsteps strayed, thy mortal bosom quivered with God's speech, and thy soul answered to a wisdom unknown.
Thank you.
What feet of gods, what ravishing flutes of heaven have thrilled high melodies round from near and far, approaching through the soft and reveling air, which still surprised thou hearest. They have fed, and thy silence on some red strange ecstasied fruit, and thou hast trod the dim moon peaks of bliss. Reveal, O winged with light, whence thou hast flown, hastening bright-hued through the green-tangled earth, the body rhythmical with the spring bird's call. The empty roses of thy hands are filled only with their own beauty and the thrill of a remembered clasp, and in thee glows a heavenly jar, thy firm, deep-honeyed heart, new brimming with a sweet and nectareous wine, thou hast not spoken with the kings of pain. Life's perilous music rings yet to thy ear, far melodied, rapid and grand, a centaur's song, or soft as water plashing mid the hills, or mighty as a great chant of many winds. Moon bright, thou livest in thy inner bliss. Thou comest like a silver deer through groves of coral flowers and buds of glowing dreams, or fleest like a wind goddess through leaves, or roamst, O ruby-eyed and snow-winged dove, flitting through thickets of thy pure desires in the unwounded beauty of thy soul.
Thank you.
These things are only images to thy earth, but truest truth of that which in thee sleeps. For such is thy spirit, a sister of the gods, thy earthly body lovely to the eyes, and thou art kin in joy to heaven's sons. O thou who hast come to this great perilous world, now only seen through the splendor of thy dreams, where hardly love and beauty can live safe, thyself a being dangerously great, a soul alone in the golden house of thought has lived walled in by the safety of thy dreams. On heights of happiness, leaving doom asleep, who hunts unseen the unconscious lives of men, if thy heart could live locked in the ideal's gold, as high, as happy might thy waking be. If for all time doom could be left to sleep. He spoke, but held his knowledge back from words. As a cloud plays with lightning's vivid laugh, but still holds back the thunder in its heart. Only he let bright images escape. His speech, like glimmering music, veiled his thoughts. As a wind flatters the bright summer air, pitiful to mortals, only to them it spoke, of living beauty and of present bliss. He hid in his all-knowing mind the rest.
Thank you. Maybe I'll read the next. To those who hearkened to his celestial voice, the veil heaven's pity throws on future pain. The immortal sanction seemed of endless joy. But Aswapati answered to the seer. His listening mind had marked the dubious close. An ominous shadow felt behind the words. But calm, like one who ever sits facing fate, here mid the dangerous contours of earth's life, he answered covert thought with guarded speech. O deathless sage who knowest all things here, if I could read by the ray of my own wish, through the carved shield of symbol images, which thou hast thrown before thy heavenly mind, I might see the steps of a young godlike life, happily beginning, luminous-eyed on earth, between the unknowable and the unseen, born on the borders of two wonder worlds. It flames out symbols of the infinite and lives in a great light of inner suns. So next week.
I forgot the cue.
For it has read.
Light.
Huh?
For it has read and broken the wizard's seals. It has drunk the immortal swells of joy. It has looked across the jewels bars of heaven. It has entered the aspiring secrecy. It sees beyond terrestrial common things, and commons with powers, and build the words, till through the shining gates and mystic street of the city of lapis lazuli and pearl, proud deep step forth a rank and march of gods, although it pauses of our human lives, earth keep for man and some short and prefers ours, when the inconstant thread of time can seem the eternal moment which the deathless life, yet rare that touch upon the mortal's word, hardly a soul and body here are born. In the fierce difficult movement of the stars, whose life can keep paradisial notes. Its rhythm repeats the many-toned melody, tirelessly throbbing through a rapturous air, caught in the song that sways the Apsara's limb. When she floats, gleaming like a cloud of life, a wave of joy on heaven's moonstone floor.
Thank you.
Behold this image cast by light and love, a stanza of the ardor of the gods, perfectly rhymed, a pillared ripple of gold. Her body like a brimmed pitcher of delight, shaped in a splendor of gold-colored bronze, as if to seize earth's truth of hidden bliss. Dream-made illumined mirrors are her eyes, draped subtly in the slumberous fringe of jet, retaining heaven's reflections in their depths. Even as her body, such as she within, heaven's lustrous mornings glorious recut, like drops of fire upon a silver page, in her young spirit yet untouched with tears. All beautiful things eternal seem and new to virgin wonder in her crystal soul. The unchanging blue reveals its spacious thought. Marvelous the moon floats on through wandering skies. Earth's flowers spring up and laugh at time and death. The charmed mutations of the enchanter life race like bright children past the smiling hours.
Thank you.
If but this joy of life could last, nor pain throw its bronze note into her rhythmed days, behold her, singer with the prescient gaze, and let thy blessing chant that this fair child shall pour the nectar of a sorrowless life. Around her, from her lucid heart of love, heal with her bliss the tired breast of earth, and cast like a happy snare felicity, as grows the great and golden bounteous tree, flowering by Alaknanda's murmuring waves, where with enamored speed the waters run, lisping and babbling to the splendor of morn, and cling with lyric laughter round the knees of heaven's daughters, dripping magic rain, pearl bright from moon gold limbs and cloudy hair. So are her dawns like jewel leaves of light, so casts she her felicity on men.
Thank you.
A flame of radiant happiness she was born, and surely will that flame set earth alight. Doom surely will see her pass and say no word. But too often here the careless mother leaves her chosen in the envious hands of fate. The harp of God falls mute, it calls to bliss, discouraged fails mid earth's unhappy sounds. The strings of the siren ecstasy cry not here, or soon are silenced in the human heart. Of sorrow songs we have enough, bid once her glad and griefless days bring heaven here, or must fire always test the great soul? Along the dreadful causeway of the gods, armored with love and faith and sacred joy, a traveler to the Eternal's house once let unwounded pass a mortal life.
Thank you.
But Narad answered not, silent he sat, knowing that words are vain and fate is Lord. He looked into the unseen with seeing eyes. Then, dallying with a mortal's ignorance, like one who knows not, questioning, he cried, on what high mission went her hastening wheels? Whence came she with this glory in her heart, and paradise made visible in her eyes? What sudden God has met, what face supreme, to whom the king, the red Asoka watched, her going forth, which now sees her return, arisen into an air of flaming dawn, like a bright bird tired of her lonely branch, to find her own Lord, since to her on earth he came not yet, this sweetness wandered forth, claving her way with the beat of her rapid wings. Led by a distant call, her vague swift flight threaded the summer morns and sunlit lands. The happy rest her burden lashes keep, and these charmed guardian lips hold treasured still.
Thank you.
Virgin who comest perfected by joy, reveal the name thy sudden heartbeats learn. Whom hast thou chosen, kingliest among men? And Savitri answered with her still calm voice, as one who speaks beneath the eyes of fate. Father and King, I have carried out thy will. One whom I sought, I found in distant lands. I have obeyed my heart, I have heard its call. On the borders of a dreaming wilderness, mid Shalva's giant hills and brooding woods, in his thatched hermitage Dymatsena dwells, blind, exiled, outcast, once a mighty king. The son of Dymatsena, Satyavan, I have met on the wild forest's lonely verge. My father, I have chosen, this is done. Astonished, all sat silent for a space. Then Ashwapati looked within and saw a heavy shadow float above the name, chased by a sudden and stupendous light. He looked into his daughter's eyes and spoke.
Thank you.
Well hast thou done, and I approve thy choice. If this is all, then all is surely well. If there is more, then all can still be well. Whether it seem good or evil to men's eyes, only for good the secret will can work. Our destiny is written in double terms. Through nature's contraries we draw nearer God. Out of the darkness we still grow to light. Death is our road to immortality. Cry, woe, the world's lost voices wail. Yet conquers the eternal good at last. Then might the sage have spoken, but the king in haste broke out and stated the dangerous word. O singer of the ultimate ecstasy, lend not a dangerous vision to the blind, because by native right thou hast seen clear. Impose not on the mortal's tremulous breast the dire ordeal that foreknowledge brings. Demand not now the Godhead in our acts. Here are not happy peaks the heaven names Rome, or Koilas or Vaikuntha's starry stair. Abrupt, jagged hills only the mighty climb, are here where few dare even think to rise. Far voices call down from the dizzy rocks. Chill, slippery, precipitous are the paths.
Thank you. E?
Too hard the gods are with man's fragile race. In their large heavens they dwell exempt from fate, and they forget the wounded feet of man. His limbs that faint beneath the whips of grief, his heart that hears the tread of time and death. The future's road is hid from the mortal sight. He moves toward veiled and secret face to light. One step in front is all his hope. And only for a little strength, he asks, to meet the riddle of his shrouded fate. Awarded by a vague and half-seen force, aware of danger to his uncertain hours, he guards his flickering yearnings from his breath, from her breath. He feels not when the dreadful fingers close around him with the grasp none can elude. If thou canst loose her grip, then only speak. Perhaps from the iron snare there is escape. Our mind perhaps deceives us with its words and gives the name of doom to our own choice. Perhaps the blindness of our will is fate. He said, and Narad answered not the king.
Thank you.
But now the queen, alarmed, lifted her voice. O seer, thy bright arrival has been timed to this high moment of a happy life. Then let the speech benign of griefless fears confirm this blithe conjunctions of two stars, and sanction joy with thy celestial voice. Her track not in the peril of our thoughts. Let not our words create the doom they fear. Here is no cause for dread, no chance for grief, to raise her ominous head and stare at love. A single spirit in a multitude, happy is such a one mid earthly men, whom Savitri has chosen for her mate. And fortunate the forest hermitage, where leaving her palace and riches and the throne, My Savitri will dwell and bring in heaven. Then let thy blessing put the immortal seal on these bright lives, unstained felicity, pushing the ominous shadow from their days.
Thank you.
Too heavy falls a shadow on man's heart. It dares not be too happy upon earth. It dreads the blow dogging to vivid joys, a lash unseen in fate's extended hand. The danger lurking in fortune's proud extremes, an irony in life's indulgent smile, and trembles at the laughter of the gods. Or if crouches unseen a panther doom, if wings of evil brood above that house, then also speak, that we may turn aside and rescue our lives from hazard of wayside doom and chance entanglement of an alien fate. And Narad slowly answered to the queen, what help is in provision to the driven? Safe doors cry opening near, the doomed pass on. A future knowledge is an added pain, a torturing burden and a fruitless light on the enormous scene that fate has built.
Thank you.
The eternal poet, universal mind, has paged each line of his imperial act, invisible, the giant actors tread, and man lives like some secret player's mask. He knows not even what his lips shall speak, for a mysterious power compels his steps, and life is stronger than his trembling soul. None can refuse what the stark force demands. Her eyes are fixed upon her mighty aim. No cry or prayer can turn her from her path. She has leaped an arrow from the blow of God. His words were theirs who lived unforced to grieve, and helped by calm the swaying wheels of life, and the long restlessness of transient things, and the trouble and passion of the unquiet world. As through her own bosom were piercing, the mother saw the ancient humans sentence strike her child. For sweetness that deserve another fate, only a large measure given to tears.
Thank you.
Aspiring to the nature of the gods, a mind proof-armored, mailed in mighty thoughts, a will entire cushioned behind wisdom's shield, though to still heavens of knowledge she had risen. Though calm and wise and Aswapati's queen, human was she still, and opened her doors to grief. The stony-eyed injustice she accused of the marble godhead of inflexible law, nor sought the strength extreme adversity brings to lives that stand erect and from the world power. Her heart appealed against the impartial judge, taxed with perversity, the impersonal one. Her tranquil spirit she called not to her aid, but as a common man beneath his load, grows faint, and breathes his pain in ignorant words, so now she arraigned the world's impassive will. What stealthy doom has crept across her path, emerging from the dark forest's sullen heart? What evil thing stood smiling by the way, and wore the beauty of the Shalwa boy?
Thank you. I'll just read a little. Perhaps he came an enemy from her past, armed with a hidden force of ancient wrongs, himself unknowing, and seized her unknown. Here, dreadfully entangled love and hate meet us, blind wanderers, mid the perils of time. Our days are links of a disastrous chain. Necessity avenges casual steps. Old cruelties come back unrecognized. The gods make use of our forgotten deeds. Yet all in vain the bitter law was made. Our own minds are the justicers of doom. For nothing have we learned, but still repeat our stark misuse of self and others' souls. There are dire alchemies of the human heart, and fallen from his ethereal element, love darkens to the spirit of nether gods.
The dreadful angel, angry with the joys, woundingly sweet he cannot yet forego, is pitiless to the soul, his gaze disarmed. He visits with his own pangs his quivering prey, forcing us to cling enamored to his grip, as if in love with our own agony. This is one poignant misery in the world, and grief has other lassos for our life. Our sympathies become our torturers. Strength have I my own punishment to bear, knowing it just, but on this earth perplexed, smitten in the sorrow of scourged and helpless things. Often it feigns to meet other suffering eyes. We are not as the gods who know not grief, and look impassive on a suffering world. Calm the gaze down on the little human scene, and the short-lived passion crossing mortal hearts.
Thank you.
An ancient tale of woe can move us still. We keep the ache of the breasts that breathe no more. We are shaken by the sight of human pain and share the miseries that others feel. Ours not the passionless lids that cannot age. Too hard for us is heaven's indifference. Our own tragedies are not enough for us. All pathos and all sufferings we make ours. We have sorrow for a greatness passed away, and feel the touch of tears in mortal things. Even a stranger's anguish rends my heart, and this, O Narad, is my well-loved child. Hide not from us our doom, if doom is ours. This is the worst and unknown face of fate. A terror, ominous, mute, felt more than seen. Behind our seat by day, our couch by night, a fate lurking in the shadow of our hearts. The anguish of the unseen that waits to strike, to know is best, however hard to bear.
Thank you.
Then cried the sage, piercing the mother's heart, forcing to steel the will of Savitri. His words set free the spring of cosmic fate. The great gods use the pain of human hearts as a sharp axe to hew their cosmic road. They squander lavishly man's blood and tears for a moment's purpose in their fateful work. This cosmic nature's balance is not ours, nor the mystic measure of her need and use. A single word lets loose vast agencies. A casual act determines the world's fate. So now, He set free destiny in that hour. The truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth, a marvel of the meeting, earth and heavens. It is he whom Savitri has chosen mid men. His figure is the front of nature's march. His simple being excels the works of time.
Thank you.
A sapphire cutting from the sleep of heaven, delightful is the soul of Satyavan, a ray out of the rapturous infinite, a silence waking to a hymn of joy. A divinity and kingliness gird his brow. His eyes keep a memory from a world of bliss, as brilliant as a lonely moon in heaven, gentle like the sweet bud that spring desires, pure like a stream that kisses silent banks. He takes with bright surprise spirit and sense, a living knot of golden paradise. A blue immense he leans to the longing world, time's joy borrowed out of eternity, a star of splendor or a rose of bliss. In him soul and nature equal presences, balance and fuse in a wide harmony. The happy in their bright ether have not hearts more sweet and true than this of mortal make, that takes all joy as the world's native gift, and to all gives joy as the world's natural right.
Thank you.
His speech carries a light of inner truth and a large-eyed communion with the power. In the common things has made veilness his mind, a seer in earth shape of garbless deity, a tranquil breath of sky, windless and still, watching the worlds like a mind of unplumbed thought, a silent space, musing and luminous, uncovered by the morning to delight, a green tangle of trees upon a happy hill, made into a murmuring nest by southern winds. There are his images and parallels, his keen in beauty and in depth his peers, a will to climb lift, a delight to live, heaven's height companion of earth's beauty's charm, an aspiration to the immortal's air, lain on the lap of mortal ecstasy.
Thank you.
His sweetness and his joy attract all hearts. To live with his own in a glad tenancy. His strength is like a tower built to reach heaven, a Godhead quarried from the stones of life. O loss, if death into its elements of which his gracious envelope was built, shatter this vase before it breathes its sweets. As if earth could not keep too long from heaven a treasure thus unique, loaned by the gods, a being so rare, of so divine a make. In one brief year, when this bright hour flies back, and perches careless on a branch of time, this sovereign glory ends, heaven lent to earth. This splendor vanishes from the mortal sky. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. A lightning bright and nude, the sentence fell.
Thank you.
But the queen cried, "Vain then can be heaven's grace. Heaven mocks us with the brilliance of its gifts. For death is a cupbearer of the wine of too brief joy held up to mortal lips, for a passionate moment by the careless gods. But I reject the grace and the mockery. Mounting thy car, go forth, O Savitri, and travel once more through the peopled lands. Alas, in the green gladness of the woods, thy heart has stooped to a misleading call. Choose once again and leave this fated head. Death is the gardener of this wonder tree. Love's sweetness sleeps in his pale marble hand. Advancing in a honeyed line but closed, a little joy would buy too bitter an end. Plead not thy choice, for death has made it vain. Thy youth and radiance were not born to lie, a casket void dropped on a careless soil. A choice less rare may call a happier fate.
Thank you.
But Savitri answered from her violent heart. Her voice was calm, her face was fixed like steel. Once my heart chose and chooses not again. The word I have spoken can never be erased. It is written in the record book of God. The truth once uttered, from the earth's air effaced, by mind forgotten, sounds immortally, forever in the memory of time. Once the dice fall, thrown by the hand of fate, in an eternal moment of the gods. My heart is sealed, its troth to Satyavan, its signature adverse, fate cannot efface. Its seal not fate, nor death, nor time dissolve. Those who shall part, who have grown, one being within, death's grip can break out our bodies, not our souls. If death take him, I too know how to die. Let fate do with me what she will or can. I am stronger than death and greater than my fate. My love shall outlast the world. Doom falls from me. Helpless against my immortality. Fate's law may change, but not my spirit's will.
Thank you.
An adamant will, she cast her speech like bronze. But in the queen's mind, listening her words, rang like the voice of a self-chosen doom, denying every issue of escape. To her own despair answered the mother maid, as one she cried, who in her heavy heart labors amid the sobbing of her hopes, to wake a note of help from sadder strings. O child, in the magnificence of thy soul, dwelling on the border of a greater world, and dazzled by the superhuman thoughts, thou lends eternity to a mortal hope. Here on this mutable and ignorant earth, who is the lover and who is the friend? All passes here, nothing remains the same. None is for any on this transient globe.
Thank you.
He whom thou lovest now, a stranger came, and into a far strangeness shall depart. His moment's part once done upon life's stage, which for a time was given him from within. To other scenes he moves and other players, and laughs and weeps mid faces new unknown. The body thou hast loved is cast away, amidst the brute unchanging stuff of worlds, to indifferent mighty nature and becomes crude matter for the joy of others' lives, but for our souls upon the wheel of God. Forever turning they arrive and go, married and sundered in the magic round of the great dancer of the boundless dance. Our emotions are but high and dying notes of his wild music changed compellingly by the passionate movements of a seeking heart in the inconstant links of hour with hour.
Thank you.
To call down heaven's distant answering song, to cry to an unseized bliss is all we dare. Once seized, we lose the heavenly music's sense. Too near, the rhythmic cry has fled or failed. All sweetnesses are baffling symbols here. Love dies before the lover in our breast. Our joys are perfumes in a brittle vase. Oh, then what wreck in this upon time's sea, to spread life's sails to the hurricane desire, and call for pilot the unsecure heart. O child, wilt thou proclaim, wilt thou follow against the law that is the eternal will? The autocracy of the rash Titan's mood, to whom his own force will,
Fierce.
in the one law, in a world where truth is not, nor light, nor God. Only the gods can speak what now thou speaks. Thou who art human, think not like a god.
Thank you.
For man, below the God, above the brute, is given the calm reason as his guide. He is not driven by an unthinking will, as are the actions of the bird and beast. He is not moved by stark necessity, like the senseless motion of inconscient things. The giants and the Titans' furious march climbs to usurp the kingdom of the gods, or skirts the demon magnitudes of hell. In the unreflecting passion of their hearts, they dash their lives against the eternal law, and fall and break by their own violent mass. The middle path is made for thinking men, to choose his steps by reason's vigilant light, to choose his path among the many paths, is given him for each his difficult goal, hewn out of infinite possibility. Leave not thy goal to follow a beautiful face.
Thank you.
Only when thou hast climbed above thy mind, and livest in the calm vastness of one, can love be eternal in the eternal bliss, and love divine replace the human tie. There is a shrouded law and a sure force. It bids thee strengthen thy undying spirit. It offers its severe burgeonings of work and thought and measure, given grave delight, as steps to climb to God's far secret heights. Then in our lives a tranquil pilgrimage, each year a mile upon the heavenly way. Each dawn opens into a larger light. Thy acts are thy helpers, all events are signs. Waking and sleep are opportunities given to thee by an immortal power. So cast thou raise thy pure, unvanquished spirit, till spread to heaven in a wide vesper's calm, indifferent and gentle as the sky, with greatness slowly into timeless peace.
Thank you.
But Savitri replied with steadfast eyes, "My will is part of the eternal will. My fate is what my spirit's strength can make. My fate is what my spirit's strength can bear. My strength is not the Titan's, it is God's. I have discovered my glad reality beyond my body in another's being. I have found a deep, unchanging soul of love. Then how shall I desire a lonely good, or slay, aspiring to wide vacant peace, the endless hope that made my soul spring forth out of its infinite solitude and sleep? My spirit has glimpsed the glory for which it came, the beating of one vast heart in the flame of things, my eternity clasped by his eternity, and tireless of the sweet abysms of time, deep possibility always to love. This is first, last joy, and to its throb the riches of 1,000 fortunate years are poverty. Nothing to me are death and grief, or ordinary lives and happy days."
Thank you. And what to me are common souls of men, or eyes and lips that are not Satyavans? I have no need to draw back from his arms and the discovered paradise of his love and journey into a still infinity. Only now for my soul in Satyavan, I treasure the rich occasion of my birth. In sunlight and a dream of emerald ways, I shall walk with him like gods in paradise. If for a year, that year is all my life. And yet I know this is not all my fate, only to live and love a while and die. For I know now why my spirit came on earth, and who I am, and who he is I love. I have looked at him from my immortal self. I have seen God smile at me in Satyavan. I have seen the eternal in a human face. Then none could answer to her words. Silent, they sat and looked into the eyes of fate. End of Canto 1. Now, I think to conclude, maybe a little early today, I'll read just one other excerpt from Shraddhavan's book. So again, this is from volume 12, and this is her introduction to this volume. She says, Book 6 is one of the most important books in Savitri. It begins with the description of sage Narad visiting the palace of King Aswapati and singing to the king and queen of the lotus heart of love. Into this scene enters Savitri and breaks the news that one whom I sought I found in distant lands, the son of Demutsena Satyavan. Her parents approve her choice and request Narad to confirm this blithe conjunction of two stars and sanction joy with thy celestial voice. Narad hesitates, but when pressed further by the queen, he reveals his foreknowledge. Only 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. The devastated queen advises her daughter to travel once more through the peopled lands and choose once again. But Savitri replies in a calm voice, "Once my heart chose and chooses not again." When her efforts fail to convince Savitri to choose again, the Queen Mother confronts Narad, voicing Earth's questions. What follows is a very poignant dialogue between the two, Savitri's mother and the sage, which reveals to all of us human beings some basic truths about human life and the role of fate. She asks, why do human beings have to suffer grief and pain? Is it God, our Creator, making us suffer like this? What is fate? Is everything happening just by chance or by necessity? Is there a way out? Narad patiently answers all her questions, going into the minutest details. Nowhere in literature would we find such a revelatory explanation of the way of fate and the problem of pain, as Sri Aurobindo calls it. Also, it is worth remembering that Sri Aurobindo added in his poem, this Book of Fate, the content of which does not find a mention in the original legend in the Mahabharata, specifically to share with us readers some of the insights that he had acquired through his yoga of a lifetime about some of the basic issues that human beings confront, such as grief and pain and suffering, all that we call by the name fate. Through these passages, we also get a glimpse of what he himself had to undergo in the process of fulfilling his mission. Book 6 ends with Narad returning to his heavenly abode. But before that, he advises Savitri's parents, "Intrude not twixt her spirit and its force, but leave her to her mighty self and fate." So I think we close there for today, a little early. So again, next time, where I'll be out for 5 weeks, and you can listen to Shraddhavan discuss this canto and the next. And I'll just add that recently I gave 2 talks about fate here based on some passages, 2 passages in Savitri. So those also are available on YouTube if you're interested in going into the philosophical, psychological issues about fate. I think one is called The Way of Fate and the other The Psychology of Fate. So thank you. We'll see you 5 or 6 weeks. Well, I'm coming back 24th of July, so that following Sunday I'll be here. So we can play something.
We have a Q&A session. Question and answer session.
Oh, no, not today. Oh, normally, yeah, like the next time we read through the canto once and then we go through and analyze it more closely, and there I take questions. Well, during the session.
In silent bounds, bordering the mortal's plain, crossing a wide expanse of brilliant peace, Narad, the heavenly sage from paradise, came chanting through the large and lustrous air.
Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.